It's honestly a bit difficult to put into words what I'm feeling right now. But here, before our eyes, once again, are all 5 Naru lionesses. And we know one is with the Kambulas, so that's 6 from the day that they were treated. 4 the anthrax have survived. And there are 5 cubs alive, not just 3.
Good day everybody and welcome to the virtual safari at Tintswalu. I'm your guide for the day, Charles Collicott. Our plan for today will be to see if we can follow up on the Naru pride of lions. That's the pride of lions that cause the central area around Main Dam their core territory. And with Red Road and his son being the dominant males that kind of protect them and make sure them and their cubs are safe, we've only been able to see 3 lionesses from those pride together, and we know there should be at least 5. And also last we saw there were 3 cubs. At one stage there were 6. So it'd be good to see if we can catch up with them. Other than that, as always, to go out and have a good time.
We've continued our search for the Naru pride, which has taken us west, halfway between Main Dam and Jackal's Plains. And to Manyeleti, we have found 5 lioness and 5 cubs. 5 cubs. We thought that there were just 3 that survived, but there are 5. It's honestly a bit difficult to put into words what I'm feeling right now. It's been well over a month since we saw the 5 Naru lionesses following the anthrax scare. We assumed that one had passed away after they were treated, and that only 3 of the 6 cubs survived. Furthermore, that potentially the pride had been split into 2. But here, before our eyes, once again, are all 5 Naru lionesses. And we know one is with the Kambulas, so that's 6 from the day that they were treated. 4 the anthrax have survived. And there are 5 cubs alive, not just 3. It is sad that 1 cub seems to have passed, but by bush standards, 5 out of 6 is still a very good outcome. This is almost unbelievable. The stories Mother Nature weaves, with its twists and turns, heartbreaks and triumphs. Chinya, Red Road's son, not exactly covering himself in glory. He was seen fleeing with the pride to safety instead of standing alongside Red Road and facing up to Nzuri's brother, and the Mbiris. There are a lot of flying ants around at the moment, as they're commonly known, but they are not ants, they are in fact termites. These are the flying versions of termites, known as elates, and they'll come out of the termite mound in almost like an eruption. Looks like a volcano of flying ants or termites coming out of the termite mound. And they usually come out after the first heavy rains of the season. And what they're doing now is they'll fly out, go land somewhere, and then a male and female will find each other, and then they will attempt to start a new colony. She will become the new queen of the colony. Extremely important for the ecosystem are these termites and flying ants. So termites, of course, they provide a lot of sustenance to a lot of animals out there. And then with regards to soil health, they're very good for soil health, providing a lot of nutrition to the soil as they carry all the food and everything that they gather from on the surface and take it down into the soil. And then the termite mounds themselves are also very important for a number of species as a home. I'm sure a number of us are familiar with the fact that a lot of things live in an abandoned termite mound. We had the dwarf mongoose not too long ago on a virtual safari. The most famous tenant of the termite mound is the aardvark. Literal translation, earth pig. An armadillo-looking creature. And it eats termites, and it's got these very powerful claws. And then what it'll do is it'll burrow into a termite mound, excavate it, and form a hole for itself. Now that hole for itself then becomes a home for warthogs, wild dogs, hyenas, giant plated lizards, snakes, you name it. So we have one keystone species being the termite. Apologies. And then another keystone species being the aardvark, both working in tandem there. The termite home provides a home for the aardvark as well as food, and then the aardvark provides a lot of dwellings for other creatures. Here we have two elates, male and female. They've shed their wings, male pursuing the female. It's incredible to think that an epic termite colony starts right here. You can take advantage of the softer soil after the rains to dig in and burrow and just begin. We have here a bateleur eagle. Now at this time of the year, or at least this period, when the elates, or the flying termites, have come out of the ground and since landed, shed their wings, the eagles you'll often find and other birds of prey on the ground as opposed to in the sky and in the trees, picking off these nutritious morsels, loaded with protein and taste like peanut butter, so I'm told. So the word bateleur comes from the French word for court jester, because one of the acts of the court jester was to do tightrope walking. And if you see this bird fly, it kind of wobbles its wings a little from side to side. As I was saying, when you see this bird fly, more accurately when you see it glide, it's constantly tilting its wings from one side to the other because it has an unusually short tail as compared to other birds of prey, even birds in general. And what that means is that he doesn't have the same, or it doesn't have the same stability. So it constantly needs to readjust. And that looks very much like a tightrope walker holding its pole going from side to side. Hence the name bateleur eagle. Often scavengers. In fact, the vultures flying above them will keep their eyes on the bateleurs. So the bateleurs flying lower will spot a carcass first and land, and having seen this, the vultures will then investigate. Rarer than lions in the Kruger National Park, the bateleur eagle. Difficult to believe because you often see them flying up above, overhead, but that's just the visuals. The added height of them in the sky, of course, allows you to see them more often than you would a lion.
Lion sightings in the wild are almost always a pleasant surprise, but today's has to take the cake. To see that there are still 6 Naru lionesses alive and 5 cubs. But are they still safe? Will the Mbiris perhaps continue to push south now that the Birminghams have entered their area? And what of Nzuri and his brother? Are they perhaps emboldened by their last encounter with Red Road, even though they were chased off? Well, something we're certainly going to keep our eyes on as always. But for now, from myself, Charles Collicott, and the virtual safari at Tintswalu, thank you so much for joining us, and it's goodbye for now.